Hello there folks, welcome into the Truck King YouTube channel. This is the Jeep Wagoneer Overland. It is supposed to be the off-road model in the lineup, so you know we've got to put it to the test. In this video, we're gonna put this thing up on the rollers, see how the four-wheel drive works, and then yes, it's sloppy road season here in Ontario, so we'll go out there, we'll hit the roads, we'll find the slush, the water, and hey, maybe some sand, and see how this thing handles. Make sure you stay tuned. Let's kick it off with the Walkaround. Powering the Jeep Wagoneer Overland is the 3-liter inline-6 twin-turbo Hurricane engine. Here it makes 420 horsepower, 468 pound-feet of torque, and that is sent through an 8-speed automatic transmission. So when you go for Wagoneer Overland, all of the upgrades here are focused at heading off-road. First of all, you'll notice some nice beefy tow hooks up here in the front, and they're actually finished in like a bed liner material, so I really like that. They should be pretty durable. Now coming down the sides, the other big upgrade, of course, tires. That is a set of 32-inch Falcon Wild Peak tires, so slightly larger than what you're getting on other Wagoneer models, and just nice to have a more aggressive set of rubber. Now underneath, there's also a full skid plate package that has been added to the Wagoneer as well. And there is a 2-speed transfer case here, so you do get a proper low range. Now at the rear end, there is a limited slip rear differential. So no, there's no locker here, but you are getting limited slip, which is nice to have. And then Jeep also adds the heavy-duty trailer tow package to the Overland model. So towing right here is 10,000 pounds. And let's check the payload on the door jamb. It's 1,322 pounds, which is pretty good for a full-size SUV. Hi everybody, I've got to cut into this video and tell you about these Giddy Ups. This is a product we really believe in here at Truck King, and it's simple. Hang it up in your truck, it fits every kind of truck, and it's going to help you climb up and in. Great for your kids, maybe your parents, or anyone who just needs a little bit of help climbing up into their truck. We all know trucks are getting taller, so if you're interested, head into the description and hit the link there, head over to the Truck King store and get yourself a set of Giddy Ups today. Let's check out second and third row accommodations, because with one of these big SUVs, this is one of the main reasons you're going to buy it, because you got a bunch of people to bring with you. So I like to start with the baby seat situation. Our captain's chairs here both have lower latch and top tethers. In the third row, you're getting 3 top tethers, but only lower latch on the driver's side, so only one lower latch position. Now let me climb in. This is listed at over 42 inches of second row legroom, and it's plenty. Now this seat does adjust, it's manually adjust, so I could bring myself forward and jam into the seat. For me, I would go all the way back, but this is my driving position, and I got plenty of knee room, no problem. Just enough headroom, it is close, but I'm not touching there, and I stand at 6 foot, so that is nice to see. Now when it comes to amenities, I get full HVAC controls down here. I also get a 150 watt 3-prong plug right there, USB-C and USB-A ports, plus the 12 volt down there as well. So yeah, quite a few plugins, and some decent spots to stash your stuff over here too with the cup holders. Now let's take a look in the third row. So for the third, you press the button up here on the shoulder. This guy pushes forward like so. Put the headrest up. So this is listed at just over 36 inches of third row legroom, and it's actually quite a bit too. Now this seat is now forward, so it could come back. So this person, if it was me, would probably be further back, but still, I got plenty of knee room there. I have just enough headroom, just like the second row. I like that the third row passengers get their own manual sunshade here. That's kind of nice to have. So when you're sitting back here, you can control that yourself. And then for amenities here, I get USB-C, I get USB-A, a little storage spot, a cup holder, and I get a power reclining seat. So it doesn't go too far back, but yeah, it does make it more comfortable. So yeah, as third rows go, this one is pretty dang good, and definitely competitive in this full-size SUV space, because if someone my size can sit back here, that's definitely a good thing. So yeah, very nice. Now let's go look at what the storage looks like behind the third row. So we open our powered hatch here, and we'll take a look at the storage. Behind this third row, you're talking about just over 23 cubic feet. So not a ton of space back here when you're using this, but you'll also notice this is a 60-40 split and it's all powered. So using these buttons over here, I can fold that down. And this reveals quite a bit of space. I like how fast the seats fold down as well. And we might as well go ahead and do this one now too. So yes, if you're not using that third row, you can get tons of storage space. I like that you have a split, so if you just need one passenger in the third, you can do that, and then have the 60 down for more space as well. So good flexibility here. Now, a few other features you'll notice, there are some little D-rings that fold out of the wall right there, so you can actually tie things down back here. You're getting some bag hooks up here, and 12-volt power right there at the rear end. And now we can also just take a peek. Let's see if there's anything under the floor here. We lift that up, and you'll see those are going to be part of your roof rack, and then you're going to have tools down here and a little bit of storage space as well, which is kind of handy. Now, I am curious if there's a full-size spare. Let me stick my head under. Yep, and you're getting a spare tire down there underneath your rear bumper. So yeah, decent storage space, and on an overland vehicle, it's important to have that spare, so I'm happy to see it down there. All right, folks, we're out for a drive now in this Wagoneer. So first things first, let's feel the power. We're here on an empty dirt road, and we're going foot to the floor. Now, this is in sport mode, but boy, does it feel good. Now, there's noticeable turbo lag. You put your foot into it, you get this kind of light push off the line, and then suddenly, when you heard me giggle, that's when that power really hit. And when it hits, man, does it ever feel good. And the thing I've always said about the Hurricane since it's come out, it's so smooth. You get that sort of weird takeoff where, yeah, it's not a lot of power, then a rush of power, but the way that rush of power comes on is just buttery smooth. So when it comes to overall power, absolutely no complaints here in the Wagoneer. And then, yeah, let's just talk about it on-road for a little bit. I've driven a bunch of Grand Wagoneers and Wagoneers. I actually took a Grand Wagoneer on a road trip a couple years ago with my family, so I've had quite a bit of time behind the wheel. And I got to tell you, especially outfit with the air suspension, this thing is a quiet, comfortable cruising full-size SUV. It absolutely eats up the miles on the interstate, and that's what you want out of a big SUV like this. You don't want to feel like you're wrestling with it, or it does anything weird, or you don't want to feel like the handling is too tight or too loose. And this is the right balance of all of those things. So yes, when it comes to overall driving comfort, I would say it's easy to drive and quite comfortable. We do have to now talk about the 2026 Grand Wagoneer, because technically this 2025 Wagoneer we're driving in right now is dead. Jeep is now bringing together the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer under one nameplate, and that is Grand Wagoneer. And this decision never really made that much sense in the first place. The Grand Wagoneer and Wagoneer, they're the exact same vehicle, same bones, same powertrains. The difference really was in the price point and the feature content. The Wagoneer was more basic, it was less expensive, but you didn't get, the second screen down here in the center stack. You don't get the passenger side touchscreen, some of those nicer interior appointments that the Grand Wagoneer got. But for 2026, they've said, you know what? This didn't make sense. Customers were confused. They didn't understand the difference between regular Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, and the proof is in the sales. In 2025, sales are absolutely tanking for both Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, so Jeep realized they had to do something to try to get people back into the fold. So that's their big move, is renaming all of their full-size SUVs Grand Wagoneer. They're also getting rid of the trim names. Right now, Wagoneer has Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3. No other Jeeps have those designations, and so people were obviously confused about them too. So now in 2026, they've gone to the more traditional Jeep trim names, which are Summit and Limited, and those are just things that people already associate with the Jeep brand. Another part of this is that this vehicle says Wagoneer all over it, but it never says Jeep. They went out of their way to not put Jeep branding here. When they launched Wagoneer, they wanted it to be a sub-brand, a luxury sub-brand kind of like Denali is for GMC. And honestly, it just didn't work out. So yes, in 2026, they're also putting the Jeep name back on this SUV. So a lot of things just haven't been working here, and it's not really about the product. It's not like they came along and said, we need a new engine, new suspension, new four-wheel drive. All of that stuff didn't change that much. It's really just the way it was named, the trim walk, and just making it more obvious to people what this vehicle actually is. So yeah, we'll have to pay attention in 2026 and see if the changes actually make a difference and if they can save the sales on this thing. Now that's all I really have for on-road. Let's go off-road now, but before we actually hit the trail, let's go to my driveway and we're gonna put this thing up on the rollers and just see how the four-wheel drive system works. We're ready now for the roller test, folks. So we have the Wagoneer here currently up on 3 rollers. Only the front passenger side tire has contact with the ground. So we're gonna see what happens and how this vehicle can deal with the situation. And I always like to start just in auto, normal mode, just to see what happens there. And then if we need some more off-road tricks, some of the drive modes, something like that, we will use them. But for now, just normal mode. We're in drive. Let's see if the Jeep can get power where it needs to go. Here we go. So that's foot off the brake. Starting to accelerate now. Feels like it just wants to creep off. Well, that's pretty much best case scenario right there. I appreciated that. It didn't slip whatsoever, which means it was getting power to both of those front wheels. I am interested though, because this does have a rear limited slip differential. So let's do one more setup to test the rear end. And now for the next setup on the rollers. So now I only have the rear passenger side tire touching the driveway. And usually with a limited slip differential, there has to be some slip for that thing to send its power left and right. So let's see what happens. I'm settled here in neutral. So I'll go over to drive, foot off the brake. And it just wanted to creep right off. That was impressive, Jeep. No slip at all, which means it was getting power truly to all 4 wheels right from the get-go, which, yeah, feels pretty good in a controlled environment at least. Let's go hit an actual trail now and talk about how it feels off-road. And now, time for a little off-roading, folks. First, let me hit you with the numbers. So we do have full 4-corner air suspension here. Standard ground clearance on the Wagoneer Overland is 8.3 inches, but then once you put it up into off-road 2 mode, you get 10 inches of ground clearance. Standard approach angle is just over 21 degrees, and then lifted up, you're about 25 degrees, and breakover and departure also go up by about 3 degrees. So yeah, with 25 degrees of approach, no, it's not a super aggressive off-road vehicle. 10 inches of clearance with the airbags up is decent. So yeah, this is the kind of vehicle where I'm not sure you're going to take it to a hardcore off-road park, but definitely on rough roads and, you know, on really uneven terrain, it's probably going to shine. And then another reason why I really like air suspension is for driving in the snow. Now, we don't have a lot of snow yet, so you're going to see in you know, the drive-bys that it's just a dusting right now. But once you get a legitimate amount of snow, lifting your body up so that the bumpers aren't dragging in the snow, that makes a big difference. So I definitely like having that air suspension for that. Now, air suspension does come with a trade-off, which is once you put it up into its highest ride height, that's what I'm in right now, you will actually stiffen up the vehicle. So let's hit a couple things here with a bit more speed, and let's feel how stiff it is. I'm doing 40 kilometers an hour. Whoa, camera bag's flying in the back. And it's actually not bad. You know, I wouldn't go too much faster than this, 35 or 40 on this rough road, but considering how big some of these potholes are, that's actually not too bad. It's not really stiff. I've felt other airbagged vehicles that get insanely stiff when they're lifted up, and this is not one of those. So I'm definitely liking the way the suspension feels so far. And then, yeah, just having the lift, I can feel like I'm sitting up a little taller. It does give you that confidence. Now, another thing we have today is a little bit of water out here and a little bit of ice, not a ton, but just enough to give me a sense for these tires. And so far, the tires are also feeling quite good, honestly. I haven't felt much slip from them at all. And that's always going to be the most influential upgrade you can make on any off-road vehicle is the tires. So I am happy to see, of course, that the Overland package does add a more aggressive set of rubber. Now, the other thing I have to acknowledge is how big and heavy this SUV is, and that's another reason why, no, you're not going to take it to like a hardcore off-road park or anything like that. But you know what? The fact that you can actually haul people in here in total comfort and then come out here and do this, yeah, this actually would make for a pretty good adventure overland type vehicle. You just have to set your expectations right. You're not getting into Wrangler territory, but this is going to go a little bit further than most full-size SUVs and even a stock Wagoneer. Especially with that 2-speed transfer case. Not every Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer gets an actual T-case, so you don't actually get low range in a lot of these SUVs, but just adding that one thing, getting that gear reduction, that's going to help quite a bit off-road as well. And now actually I'm going to use 4 low, so I've put it down into 4 low. We're going to see if we can't creep through this one big muddy water hole that's here in this parking lot. Now, yeah, it's just a parking lot, but still, it's getting pretty brutal out here. And so far, everything I felt from this Wagoneer is giving me confidence. And the fact that I know the body's up tall, I don't have to worry about the bumpers dragging. It's gonna crawl right through here like it's nothing. So yeah, that's good, man. It's feeling pretty good, I like it. And then with a package like this, you also have to acknowledge this is one of its biggest strengths. I'm coming off the trail now, back onto a paved road, and there's little to basically no compromise when you go for the Overland package. It's not like they add a bunch of stuff here and then on road you're suffering because of it. Maybe there's a little bit more tire noise here, but honestly it hasn't really been noticeable. So yeah, this is one of the beauties of these off-road packages. This actually legitimately makes this Wagoneer better off-road, and then when you get on-road, it doesn't make it any worse. It basically doesn't change at all, and I appreciate that because I already went over it. This is a nice, comfortable, cruising full-size SUV. Well, folks, now you've seen this SUV in action, we have to talk pricing, and this is a bit of an interesting story because for 2026, pricing has changed, and of course the whole naming structure has changed. So let's go over what this SUV costs today and what it's going to cost in the future. We will start with the as-tested price. So the Jeep Wagoneer Overland that you saw in this video has a sticker price of $99,108 Canadian dollars, and the Overland package here in Canada costs $7,995. Now we have to talk about that upcoming 2026 Grand Wagoneer because prices have changed. So in the United States, the Grand Wagoneer will now start at $62,145, and in Canada, the Grand Wagoneer will start at $87,995, and both of those prices are a little bit more than what the Wagoneer started at in 2025. So along with the renaming and reposition of the lineup is a slightly higher base price by about $2,000 to $3,000. And with that, everybody, we're coming to the end of this one. Now, first, let me say the Overland package, I like it. I think it does actually make this Wagoneer a little bit more prepared to tackle some rough roads. Now, overall on this product, I think my take is just that people don't think about Jeep and ultra high luxury in the same sentence. Those two things don't generally go together. So with Wagoneer, Jeep was really trying to sort of break away from that Jeep brand name and sort of replicate what GMC has with Denali. And quite frankly, it didn't work. So I am looking forward to 2026. I think the new naming convention makes a lot of sense, and we will now have to see how this thing does moving forward, because 2025 was not a good year for Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, but starting in 26 with new styling and naming that makes more sense, yes, I think this product can be successful because as a full-size SUV, I think it is a good one. So yeah, folks, that's it for this one. So why don't you guys drop in the comments now, let me know what you think about everything you've seen in this video. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King and see what we're testing next. See ya.